It is our Fight Night first look at UFC 315. Two title fights coming north of the border, as in the main event, it will be Belal Muhammad against Jack Della Maddalena for the UFC's Welterweight championship. And in the co-main event, Valentina Shevchenko defends her championship against Manon Fiorot in somewhat intriguing card. I will say one that is lacking some star power. I like Belal, I like Jack Della Maddalena. Valentina Shevchenko's an all-timer, and Fiorot is on a bit of a roll, but this is not the biggest names or whatever, and this is also not necessarily the deepest card that we're talking about either, but still a lot of a few storylines to watch as we go into this. So going to break down the two from the main event, or the two main and co-main event fights here today. Also going to look at the Canadian Spotlight on the live stream. For podcast listeners, that's going to be on its own thing tomorrow. And later in the week, we're going to look at the fighters to watch, and then a UFC 315 breakdown to wrap up the week. So this was, or the big story I think here for Belal Muhammad is this is the first title defense, and now he has been trying to build up his popularity, build up that the social media following, and just become a bit of a star. By he's upping the trash talk. He's going to a bunch of events. He's at a ton of wrestling events because he and CM Punk have a pretty good relationship, and now the TKO thing. So he is making his way to a lot of these shows, and so that is great. Like, definitely up your star power. That this is a new height for your career. So try to take advantage of it to the best of your abilities and make this just a rousing, fun time for yourself. But let's not forget what got you here in the first place, and that's being a high-level mixed martial artist. And so that is where you have some wonders, is how is Belal now going to handle this sort of a spotlight? How is he going to deal with the attention being placed on him and everything that is going to go into that with the different media obligations? And it's in Canada, so you get a little bit extra when it comes to those sorts of things. And how has he kind of handled his trading in the lead up to all of this? It's all going to be very, very interesting to see now, how does Belal Muhammad handle the spotlight so bright on him for the first time? Jack Della Maddalena gets his first opportunity. This is a guy who it feels like he's been close for a little bit and has now been able to break through. And he's getting that chance against a guy who, again, is feeling this kind of a spotlight and this kind of a pressure for the first time. So it's an interesting opportunity for Jack Della Maddalena coming up this week, and he is deserving of it. He has won 17 in a row after an 0-2 start to his career. It's quite impressive. My one concern about this, and interested to kind of break it down as the week goes on, but Gilbert Burns and Kevin Holland are the last two wins for JDM. Those guys aren't exactly at their peaks right now. And so while I do think he has built up well, he's won a lot of fights to get to this opportunity. It does, I used this the last time, and maybe I'm just getting too used to it. It slightly feels like he has skipped a step here, but I still think those are big enough names that he is deserving of this opportunity and has kind of built up to it in an important way. I just don't know from a talent standpoint if he has necessarily done that. So we will see what type of a gap there is in what he has faced before and what he will be facing coming up on Saturday. In the co-main event, Valentina Shevchenko is looking to add to her Hall of Fame resume. This is the first time she's fighting someone not named Alexa Grasso since 2002. Now, both fighters are going to be on this card, but Grasso is hanging out at the start of the main card. I am interested to see the game plan and the implementation of this, because there was an adjustment made by Valentina Shevchenko after a surprising loss in her first bout. And we never really had to see a plan B in that third fight because of what I considered a poor performance, I guess, would be the best way to put it, from Alexa Grasso. And so now, how does Shevchenko, like, we are going to be facing in Shevchenko someone who probably does have a plan A, B, C, and D, and has seen all of the ways that she has failed before. It was kind of easy to counter it for Valentina on the last one. What does she have now for Fiorot? Again, if you just put up best fighter against best fighter, I think in both of these, the champions retain probably pretty easily. But I do think there's enough of a story going into it that you can create at least a little bit of doubt going into that. For Fiorot, she is also, like the title challenger in the main event, also coming off of a winning streak after losing the first fight of her career. So she starts with an offer and has now won everything since. And it felt like she wasn't really going to get the opportunity, but then she just kind of felt like she was beating everyone who the UFC was about to put in for an opportunity. So she gets this shot now. Coming off of a win over Erin Blanchfield, she's also beat Rose Namajunas and Caitlin Chukagian. She has basically knocked off every contender on her road to this opportunity. So this isn't a Della Maddalena where, yeah, the last couple weren't really whatever. You can say what you want about Rose, but there are a lot of high quality wins for Fiorot now, against a bunch of different styles too. Now, none of them are as good as Valentina Shevchenko can be at her best. But we will see what is the best that Valentina Shevchenko has coming up this Saturday. So again, a lot to cover on this UFC 315 pay-per-view. This is where I think the show really does shine with our UFC pay-per-view coverage. We are going to look at, again, the fighters to watch coming up later on in the week. Going to look at the schedule ahead for the Ultimate Fighting Championship and do a full UFC 315 preview. So keep it locked here on Couch Potato Diary for a really fun fight week.